Coach Parker ran a basketball program, but for these kids, it was just to keep an eye on them. Some were already on the edge, facing charges, wearing monitors, losing hope. But Coach fought for them, not for a championship, for a future. With a whistle and a worn-out gym, Eastwood became the place where broken kids learned how to rebuild. The scoreboard read 63-62, 10 seconds left. Coach Darnell Parker stood, eyes locked on the court. One stop, no fouls. The opposing point guard dribbled at the top of the key, Marcus guarding him close. 5 seconds. The guard faked left, drove right, but Marcus stayed with him. The guard spun back, nearly lost the ball, and stepped behind the arc. He launched a fading shot, off balance. Marcus lunged, but couldn't contest in time. 2 seconds. The buzzer sounded as the ball hit nothing but net. 65-63. Game over. The visiting team erupted. The home crowd groaned. Marcus stood frozen, eyes on the scoreboard, fists clenched. He ripped off his headband, frustration simmering. Parker sighed. They fought hard, but lost focus down the stretch. Marcus turned to head to the locker room, but the opposing point guard broke away from his teammates, a cocky grin on his face. "Better luck next time, Lockdown," he taunted. "Oh wait, there is no next time. Y'all ain't making the playoffs." Marcus froze. His fists clenched. The words stung, but it was the look on his face too much to ignore. Marcus Parker started, but it was too late. Marcus pivoted and shoved the kid with both hands. The guard hit the floor hard. The gym gasped. The rival team rushed in, pushing and shoving, while Eastwood's players surged to protect Marcus. Referees sprinted over, whistles blaring. "Enough!" Coach Williams stormed onto the court. "This what you're teaching them, Parker?" He snapped. "They lose and start fights?" Parker stood firm. He got provoked. Williams scoffed. "Yeah? The school board's not going to care. I'm writing a letter." Without another word, he turned and stormed off. Parker exhaled, frustration simmering. A formal complaint. Perfect. The next morning, Parker sat in his office, laptop open. The game footage played in silence, frame by frame. He wasn't watching anymore, just staring at the paused image of Marcus before the shove. A knock broke his focus. "Come in." Ms. Ruiz stepped inside. Parker sighed. "Figured I'd see you soon?" She smiled tightly. "I'm not here officially." Parker leaned back. "Okay, but..." She sat down, exhaling. "Darnell, it's not looking good." He waited. "The board was already discussing cuts," she continued. "Now, after last night, Coach Williams submitted a formal complaint." Parker closed his eyes. Of course he did. It's not just him. Some board members think incidents like this show the program's not worth keeping. Parker shook his head. Marcus made a mistake. That's not the program. That's a kid who needs guidance. Ms. Ruiz softened, but stayed firm. "I know you believe in these boys. I do too. But the board sees behavior reports and a shrinking budget." Parker exhaled. She stood. "I wanted to warn you before it's official. If there's another incident, I don't know if I can stop it." Parker nodded. She gave him a final look. "Make sure this doesn't happen again." With that, she left. Parker leaned forward, elbows on his desk. This wasn't just about Marcus. It was about all of them. And he wasn't going to let them down. The gym hummed with the sound of basketballs bouncing and sneakers squeaking. Coach Parker was fired up, pushing the team harder than usual fast breaks, layups, relentless drills. His eyes darted from player to player, assessing. Most were giving it their all, the sting of yesterday's loss still fresh. But Jamal? His movements were slow, disjointed. His gaze wandered, distant, as if the court was a million miles away. The spark that once ignited when he played was gone. After practice, Parker pulled him aside. Jamal blinked, startled, like he was waking from a trance. He met Parker's gaze with a weak grin. "You're zoning out, kid," Parker said, his tone hardening. "What's going on?" Jamal wiped his brow, his motions sluggish. "I'm good, coach," he said, but the lie hung heavy in the air. Parker didn't buy it. "You've got talent, Jamal." Parker's voice softened, but it was firm. "But if your head's not in the game, it doesn't matter." Jamal's smile faltered for a second before returning. He tossed the towel into the basket, too casually. "I'm fine, promise." But Parker could see it, the weight Jamal was carrying, something beyond basketball. Days later, Parker drove past Jamal on the corner near the old convenience store. He was talking to two older guys, strangers, the kind of men Parker had warned his players about. One laughed, shaking Jamal's hand and slipping something into his palm. Jamal's hand disappeared quickly into his jacket pocket. Parker's gut twisted. He didn't stop, didn't confront him. He couldn't. But as he drove away, the weight of what he'd seen hit him like a cold wave. Jamal was in deeper than anyone knew. It was all too familiar. The streets of Chicago had swallowed up so many like him. That night, Parker sat in his quiet kitchen, the weight of the day pressing down on him. The Borg rep's visit, the uncertainty hanging over the program, it all felt too heavy. He rubbed his neck, trying to shake the stress, but it wouldn't leave. He had to figure out how to keep his team together, how to steer them through this. That's when the phone rang. It was Jamal's mom. "Coach Parker?" "It's Jamal. He's in trouble. He's been arrested." Parker's heart dropped. "What happened?" she hesitated. "He called from the station. He was just the lookout, but he was involved in a robbery." "He's scared, Coach. I'm scared." Parker gripped the phone tighter. "Is he okay?" "I don't know. They're saying charges are coming. He's not a bad kid, but he's hanging with the wrong crowd. You know how it is." "I'll get to him, Mrs. Thompson. I'm on my way." Her relief was palpable, but the tremor in her voice stayed. "He needs you, Coach. Please. He needs someone to pull him back." The weight of her words settled over Parker. Jamal was slipping, and now it was real. He grabbed his jacket and left, his mind focused solely on Jamal, the school board and program troubles forgotten for the moment. The streets felt colder as Parker drove, his thoughts heavy. When he arrived, Jamal sat alone in a holding room, looking smaller than Parker had ever seen him. His tough exterior vanished. Parker crouched down, locking eyes with him. "Tonight was a mistake, but it doesn't have to be the end. You can still turn this around." Jamal's eyes were empty, distant. "I don't know, Coach. I never meant for it to go this far. The cops said I'm screwed. What do I do now?" Parker's voice softened. "I'm not giving up on you, Jamal. You've got a chance to get out. I know someone, a social worker named Terrell. He's helped guys like you. If you want out, he's the guy who can make it happen." A few days later, Terrell and Jamal sat in silence in the jail's interview room. Jamal sat with his arms crossed, wary. Terrell leaned forward slightly and spoke in a low voice. "Hey, Coach Parker still tell those stories about me? He used to call me the walking disaster." Jamal snorted. "You played for Coach. What did you do?" Terrell shrugged. "Let's just say you're not the first one to end up in a mess like this. But Coach was there for me when I needed someone. He didn't give up on me, even when I was ready to give up on myself. That's why he called me. My job now is to help other cats turn it around." Jamal looked at him for a moment, clearly skeptical, but listening now. "Look, man," Carroll continued, his voice taking on a more sincere tone. "I know it's hard. I know you've been down some tough roads, but you're still standing. And that's the first step. You've got a chance to make this right, just like I did. It's not easy, but it's worth it." Jamal stayed quiet, processing Terrell's words. Terrell gave him a moment before he spoke again, his tone shifting into something more practical. I've spoken to the court. They're willing to put you on home detention instead of locking you up. You'll have to stay out of trouble, keep up with your schoolwork, but you'll still be able to go to practice. I've already talked to Coach. He's agreed to drive you there and back, since your mom doesn't have a car. Jamal digested the information. So, I can still play ball? Terrell nodded. Yeah, but you've got to keep your head straight. Stay focused. Basketball's your ticket out of this, man, but you've got to prove you can handle it. Jamal took a deep breath, then finally met Terrell's eyes. I'll do it. I'll keep my head straight. Terrell smiled, a hint of pride in his eyes. I know you will, and I'll be here to make sure you've got the support you need. Marcus had served his 2-game suspension and was finally back on the court for the big matchup against Westlake High. The gym was electric with the buzz of the crowd, but Marcus didn't hear any of it. He stood at the top of the key, knees bent, ball gripped tight. Dre, one of their scrappier guards, was in his face, trash-talking like it was his job. You ain't hitting that, Dre smirked, the words coming out like venom. Marcus didn't respond. Instead, he let the heat build in his chest, coiling tight like a spring about to snap. The second Dre blinked, Marcus was gone, faster than he'd ever been. 2 long strides, and he took off, leaping toward the rim. The ball slammed against the back iron, ricocheted toward half court. A missed dunk, a wasted possession. Marcus landed hard, his frustration boiling over. He slammed his hands together, his jaw tight. That should have been easy, should have been a statement. Instead, Dre was laughing. Damn, you good? Dre mocked. You look mad, bro. Marcus took a step toward him, fists clenched, but then, Marcus, focus. Coach Parker's voice sliced through the tension like a knife. He'd called a timeout, and now he was striding onto the court. Marcus's teammates wandered back to the bench, whispering, casting glances at each other. Parker met him in the middle of the floor, threw one arm roughly around his shoulders, and guided him off the court. Marcus's chest heaved as he forced himself to calm down. I'm focused, he muttered. Parker shot him a look. Really? Then why are you playing like you've got something to prove instead of something to win? Marcus looked away, shaking his head, the frustration still burning in his gut. Parker wasn't done. You've got the talent, Marcus. Everybody in this gym knows it. But talent won't carry you forever. Not if you let every little thing get in your head. Marcus swallowed hard. He knew Parker was right. The fire, the frustration, the need to dominate, it had all been clouding his game. Outsmart them, Parker said, voice steady. Don't just outplay them. For a moment, Marcus stood there, chest rising and falling, sweat dripping down his face. Then, slowly, he nodded. The words were familiar, but today they felt different. When the game resumed, Marcus didn't force anything. No more wild shots, no more responding to trash talk. He moved with purpose, quick passes, smart decisions. He let the game come to him. When the ball swung back to him, Dre was still talking, but Marcus didn't bite. A sharp fake left, a drive right, and a smooth mid-range jumper nothing but net. No celebration, just a quick jog back on defense. By the final buzzer, Marcus had put up solid numbers, efficient points, key assists, and clutch stops. More importantly, he stayed composed, even when things got chippy. As he walked off the court, chest heaving, a new feeling settled in, satisfaction. Not just from the win, but from playing the right way. Maybe Parker was right. Maybe this was the way forward. The next afternoon, Parker pulled up to Jamal's building, a weathered building, bricks streaked with years of rain and rust. A few kids played on the cracked sidewalk, their laughter slicing through the hum of traffic. Jamal was already outside, sitting on the steps with his gym bag. When he saw Parker's car, he stood, adjusting the strap before walking over. Parker leaned over to pop the passenger door. "Didn't peg you as the punctual type," he said with a half-smile. Jamal smirked. "Guess I've got something to prove," Parker nodded. "That's a good start." The ride to the gym was quiet, broken only by the occasional click of the turn signal or the rumble of tires over a pothole. Jamal stared out the window, watching the streets pass by. It wasn't a long drive, but everything felt different now, like he was coming back with something to lose. His ankle monitor flashed silently in the footwell. Parker broke the silence. "I know it's not easy. New rules, new expectations. But you put in the work, you show up, things change." Jamal's voice was quiet. "Yeah." Parker glanced at him. "Ain't about being perfect. Just about being better than yesterday." Jamal let those words sit with him. He didn't know if he believed them yet, but for the first time in a long time, he wanted to. On the court, the difference was clear. No more half-hearted effort. Every drill, every movement had purpose. On defense, he moved his feet, fought through screens. When he missed a shot, he reset without hesitation. It wasn't flashy, but it was real. He wasn't here because he had to be. He was here to get better. When they pulled up to his complex, Jamal unbuckled his seatbelt but didn't move to get out. He hesitated, glancing at Parker. "Coach," he said, steady, "could you pick me up earlier next time? I want to get some extra shots in before practice." Parker studied him for a moment. The old Jamal, late, disinterested, was gone. This was different. "Yeah, I can do that," Parker said, a slight nod. Jamal nodded back, grabbed his bag, and jogged up the stairs. Parker watched him go, a small smile tugging at the corner of his mouth. The state championship came up fast. No one had expected much from Parker's squad, undisciplined, undersized, and outmatched by the powerhouses in the bracket. But round after round, they proved people wrong. Jamal, once a shaky bench player, found his place in the rotation. He played with confidence, defending fiercely, knocking down shots, hustling for every loose ball. Marcus had become a bona fide star. Scouts were no longer whispering. They were taking notes, phones pressed to their ears. But beyond the gaudy stats and the flashy dunks, something had changed in Marcus. He was no longer playing just for himself. They fought through the early rounds with grit, squeezing past teams that should have steamrolled them. By the semifinals, the gym was packed with reporters, recruiters, and the restless energy of a game that meant everything. The school principal and a few dozen students filled one section. Their opponent was Jefferson Prep, 3-time state champions in the last 5 years, with top recruits and brand new facilities. They played like it too. From the tip-off, Jefferson's defense suffocated Eastwood. Their big men muscled through screens. Their guards pressed hard. But Eastwood didn't back down. Marcus attacked relentlessly, finding his spots. Jamal was everywhere diving, crashing the boards, making the extra pass. The game was tight, a dogfight that had the crowd on its feet. Jefferson's star forward, a D1-bound player with a big ego, spent the game trying to get in Marcus's head. Nudge here, cheap shot there. The old Marcus would have snapped, but not this time. He just smiled, ice cold at the free throw line. Parker, arms crossed, watched with pride. The final minutes were a battle, but Jefferson's firepower won out. The buzzer sounded. Jefferson 72, Eastwood 65. It was a tough loss, but one to be proud of. They'd given Jefferson a real scare. As Marcus walked off the court, head held high, he didn't look devastated. He looked satisfied. When he reached Parker, he simply said, "Thank you, Coach." And that was enough. The gym was clearing out. Marcus had barely toweled the sweat off his face when a firm hand clapped onto his shoulder. Marcus Daniels? He turned to see a man in a quarter zip, a college logo on his chest. Parker was right beside him, arms crossed, expression unreadable. "Yeah, that's me," Marcus said, trying to sound casual, but his pulse had already kicked up a notch. The man smiled. "Name's James Harding, assistant recruiter for DePaul. We've had our eye on you for a while, but tonight, you showed us something special." "Yeah, that's me," Marcus said, trying to sound casual, but his pulse had already kicked up a notch. The man smiled. "Name's James Harding, assistant recruiter for DePaul. We've had our eye on you for a while, but tonight, you showed us something special." Marcus stood a little straighter, his breath catching in his throat. "Talent's never been in question," Harding continued. "But the way you carried yourself, the composure, the leadership, playing through contact without letting it get to you, that's the kind of player we want in our program. We'll be in touch in the next few days with an official offer. But I just wanted to say it in person. You've got a real future ahead of you, son." Marcus exhaled slowly. He'd been dreaming about this moment since he first picked up a ball. But for once, he didn't just think about himself. He thought about his mom, who had worked double shifts to keep food on the table. He thought about his little sister, who wore his old jerseys to school like they were designer. And he thought about Parker, who had gotten him here, even when he was too stubborn to see it. Harding shook his hand firmly before nodding at Parker. "Hell of a job, coach." And just like that, he was gone. Marcus turned to Parker, the tears coming before he could stop them. "Coach, Parker pulled him into an embrace. "You deserve it. Go celebrate, kid." Parker was bursting with pride as he watched Marcus leave the gym with his family. The loss still stung, but seeing Marcus give them the good news was a victory in itself. "Coach Parker." Parker turned to see Principal Donovan approaching, a confident stride matching the pride in his eyes. He extended his hand, offering a firm handshake. "Congratulations, Coach. Your team gave it everything out there. I've never seen them play with more heart." Parker shook his hand, his voice steady. "They fought hard. We gave them a run." Donovan nodded. "You've built something here, Coach. You've got a group that believes in themselves. Believes in you. I can see it. So can everyone else. I'll make sure the program gets the resources it needs to keep growing. You've earned that." Parker met his eyes, surprised but grateful. "I appreciate that, sir. It means a lot. You've got something special here," Donovan said with a final clap on Parker's shoulder. "Next season, we'll go even further." Parker watched him walk away, the weight of the promise settling in. It was more than just a compliment. It was an opportunity. They were only getting started. The gym buzzed with the energy of tryouts. Jamal stood on the sideline, wearing a new polo, clipboard in hand, taking notes as he kept an eye on the players. After graduating, he joined Parker's staff as an assistant coach. His younger brother Kenny, a freshman at Eastwood, was among the hopefuls. Coach Parker's voice rang out, crisp and authoritative. "All right, 20 push-ups, then hit the baseline. Move it, move it. This isn't a show. Who's got the heart to earn it?" Kenny dropped to the floor instantly. The new team uniforms, clean, sharp, and a far cry from the ragged bibs they used to wear, was the first of many improvements new funding had made to the program. As the players got to their feet, Parker marched down the line, looking them in the eyes. When he reached Kenny, he didn't miss a beat. "You've got talent," he said, "but your brother had the grit to back it up. You've got big shoes to fill." As Jamal watched his brother Kenny drill shots on the court, it hit him just how far he'd come. Coach Parker had been there when Jamal had nowhere else to turn, offering guidance, a ride, and a job. He'd not only transformed Jamal's life, but had built a program that gave other kids like Marcus and Kenny the chance to succeed. Watching Kenny step up to the challenge, Jamal knew it was his turn to give back, to show the next generation what Parker had shown him, that hard work and heart could change your life. Coach Parker watched his team with pride, knowing the victories on the scoreboard weren't what truly mattered. It was the lessons, the discipline, and the sense of purpose the program instilled in the players. He'd built something lasting, something that could change lives as long as someone cared enough to invest in them. For Jamal, that's what it was all about now. He wasn't just coaching, he was passing on the gift that had saved him. And that was the real victory, showing others that with guidance, heart, and hard work, you can change your path and inspire others to do the same.